A very warm welcome to you, our viewers. 60 years after one of the most significant and controversial chapters in Nigeria's political history, the family of the country's first military head of state, Major General Johnson Thomas Umunakwe Aguiyi-Ironsi, is making a fresh appeal to the federal government. This time, they are asking for something they say has been missing for decades: a sincere national apology, compensation, and formal reconciliation. Their demand has reopened conversations about the events surrounding the 1966 military coup and the lasting impact those events had on Nigeria's political development. Speaking during an interview on Arise Television's Prime Time, the head of the Aguiyi-Ironsi family, Imo Aguiyi-Ironsi, argued that the family has never received an official apology from the Nigerian government over the assassination of the former head of state.
I think over the years, Nigeria has missed opportunities to confront that matter. Yes, there was 1966, but if you recall, by 1979, the politicians who came together to birth the Second Republic were actually on the verge of making Zik their candidate, which means at the level where it mattered, the Nigerian elders knew there was no division. They knew that there was a misunderstanding in 1966. They knew the Igbos didn't send Nzogwu on any errand, but the aftermath of his rascality impacted negatively on them. So that has been a series of missed opportunities, and myths began to arise, worsened by, low-grade politics. But again, I look at what's happening in Umuahia today and I ask myself, look at the attendance. Serving and retired officers of the Nigerian Army. The event today means they don't recognize 1966 as having breached esprit de corps. It was a distortion of history, an unfortunate act, and if you look at it historically, you will see that it's easy to understand. Nzogwu was a major. He killed some of the most respected Nigerians. His colleagues didn't kill those they were asked to kill. And because of the ethnic connection, they say, oh, it's their brothers they spared. But what's the profile of the man behind it? As a soldier, you know that a senior officer does not take instructions from a junior officer. So for a major to enter a radio station, announce he had taken over, and then in the process of that announcement, is instructing the GOCs to take over and be in charge of the areas where they are. First, you're addressing brigadiers general. You're not even a lieutenant colonel, you're not a colonel. So that's clearly a soldier out of his depth completely. And that's why Ojukwu, who was in Kano at the time, he said nothing has happened. That some rascal entered a police station. That this is a profession. You don't take such instruction. It was Ojukwu who foiled it, if you recall, in the north. Unegbe, another Igbo man, was shot when he was trying to prevent them from taking arms because he was in charge. Now look at the truth and then look at the narrative that has come. And with it has also come the degeneration over the years. The late Wali of Sokoto, Ambassador Hamza Ahmadu, in 93, 94, he was also on the editorial board of This Day as a consultant. He told a very telling personal story. He was secretary to Sir Ahmadu Bello. At a point in his life, he also served as secretary to Zik. And he was telling us there was no day Zik, Awo, and Ahmadu Bello did not talk throughout before all that crisis. So that national cohesion of I'm protecting my interests, but we have a common platform was always there. Now it's not there. And worse still, the concept of development and leadership has also collapsed. The single space governed by Ahmadu Bello is now split into 19 units. Look at Southwest and all of that. 19 administrative units delivering poverty, the same for all the regions. And the quality of persons occupying those positions has also progressively deteriorated to the point that the only issue you're talking about is how much did you lose?
Like I said, he was a role model, a pace setter. We lost somebody who would have helped so many other people. We lost somebody who was a father, an uncle, at the prime of his age. And I'm sure you will know the impact all would have gained by having him around. We also lost.
Do you?
Is it pointing us to?
Right.
Is it pointing us to good education? Is it pointing us to good businesses? It is pointing us to exposure in the world. We lost all that. It is also telling us how to live in the community as people coming after him. We lost all that.
Yeah,
The family, I don't think, has been compensated. And of course, there had been no sincere apology for his assassination. It looks like people are still getting on, carrying on with the way things were by the time he was assassinated. We have not received any sincere apology from anybody, I would say, to the best of my knowledge, about his assassination. He was a man of vision. He was a detribalized Nigeria. He was a good leader. He occupied the seat of head of state for only six months, and he was taken away from us. Not because of a sin he committed, because he wasn't part of the January 1966 coup. Everybody knows that. Only because of his position as the most senior military officer, he was told to take charge after the coup. And then that cost him his life. I think the family needs apology. The family needs to be compensated. We need sincere apology.
right. Okay.
We need sincere reconciliation.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
According to him, despite the passage of 6 decades, the family still believes that the country owes them recognition for what they describe as the unjust killing of a man who accepted the responsibility of leading Nigeria during one of its most difficult moments. Imo Aguiyi-Ironsi, who is the nephew of the late military leader, described his uncle as a detribalized Nigerian, a visionary leader, and a patriotic soldier whose commitment was to national unity rather than ethnic or regional interests. He said General Aguiyi-Ironsi governed for only about 6 months before his administration came to a violent end during the military counter-coup of July 1966. According to him, the late head of state neither planned nor participated in the January 1966 military coup that dramatically altered Nigeria's political landscape. Instead, he said Aguiyi-Ironsi became head of state only because he was the most senior military officer at the time and was called upon to stabilize the country after the civilian government collapse. The family insists that accepting that responsibility should not have resulted in his assassination. Imo Aguiyi-Ironsi argued that his uncle simply answered what he believed was a national call to serve Nigeria during a period of uncertainty and political crisis. In his statement, the former military leader's only crime was agreeing to lead the country after the coup had already taken place. He maintained that following the assassination, Nigeria largely moved forward politically, while the personal pain experienced by the family remained unaddressed. According to him, beyond historical recognition, the family believes the federal government should acknowledge what happened by offering an official apology, appropriate compensation, and meaningful reconciliation. His comments have once again drawn attention to one of the most debated periods in Nigerian history. The January 1966 military coup resulted in the overthrow of the First Republic and the deaths of Prime Minister Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, senior political leaders, and several high-ranking military officers. The parliamentary system of government was subsequently dissolved, ushering in military rule. Following the coup, the Major General Aguiyi-Ironsi assumed office as Nigeria's first military head of state. However, his administration lasted only a few months before he was overthrown and assassinated during the July 1966 counter-coup. Those events significantly deepened political tensions and eventually contributed to the circumstances that led to the Nigerian Civil War. Historians continue to debate many aspects of the 1966 coup, including the motivations of the coup plotters, the political decisions made during Aguiyi-Ironsi's brief administration, and the consequences that followed. While different interpretations remain, there is broad agreement that the events of 1966 fundamentally reshaped Nigeria's political history. The family's latest demand also raises broader questions about how nations address historical grievance. Across the world, governments have sometimes issued formal apologies for past injuries involving political violence, military actions, or state institutions. In certain cases, apologies have been accompanied by compensation, official recognition, or reconciliation initiatives designed to acknowledge historical suffering and promote national healing. Whether Nigeria should take a similar approach remains a matter of public debate. Supporters of such measures argue that acknowledging painful historical events can strengthen national unity and promote reconciliation. Others believe historical controversies should primarily remain the subject of academic research and public dialogue rather than government compensation programs. As of now, the federal government has not publicly responded to the family's latest request. There has been no official indication regarding whether any apology, compensation, or reconciliation initiative is under consideration following the interview. The renewed appeal comes just days after ceremonies marking the 60th anniversary of General Aguiyi-Ironsi's death, during which members of his family called on Nigerians to embrace unity, justice, and peaceful coexistence rather than reopen historical divisions. That message focused on national reconciliation, while the latest interview places greater emphasis on what the family considers unresolved historical obligations owed to their late relative. Whether the government's position changes or not, the family's remarks have once again brought national attention to one of Nigeria's defining historical figures. 6 decades after his assassination, the legacy of Major General Aguiyi-Ironsi continues to generate discussion about leadership, sacrifice, justice, and national reconciliation. As Nigeria reflects on its history, the family's request ensures that conversations about accountability and historical memory remain part of the country's ongoing democratic journey. For more updates, stay with us on News Express. I am Cassie Tony.